Dear viewers, you are welcome to the fifth episode of When Your Loved One Dies. I'm Sarah Nyende doing the presentations. Please feel free to share this information to the people who have lost their loved ones. And the information is still relevant to those who have not lost their loved ones. But it prepares us for us because we will lose our loved ones. So I am going to talk about something important, that when you lose your loved one, you've lost more than a person. There's what we call the primary loss and the secondary loss. When you lose a loved one, yes, the primary loss is the person, but the secondary loss is the status, the friendship, the relationship. There's a lot that is involved in the secondary loss. When a wife is married to a pastor, for example, is a pastor's wife, and for whatever reason the pastor passes away, the wife has lost a husband. But not only that the wife has lost the husband, that is the primary loss, but the wife has lost the status of being the minister's wife, of being a friend to many, the church members. The wife has lost the relatives that she had on the money's side. Some people still come home, but others, after losing the loved ones, the friends of your loved one may not appear again. So when we lose our loved one, it's not only the person that has died, but we lose friends, we lose finance officers, we lose the transportation, we lose the mechanic. If a husband has died, you may find it was the one who was doing much of the transportation at home, taking children to school and back. And now when the person passes away, you have not only lost the husband, but even the person who was doing the transportation, who was buying the items at home, who was paying the rent if you are staying in a rented house, who was managing the businesses. So you have lost the fame, you have lost so much, and you have lost support. So sometimes you see a person grieving and he simply say, but the person was sick. After all, the person was young. After all, but this person has not lost only the physical person, as you noted, but there's the psychological loss, there's the economical loss, there's the social loss, there's the holistic loss, the spiritual loss. You find that when time comes to go to church, you are now a different person. They used to call you Mrs. So and so, but you are no longer that name. You have the name, but the person is not with you. And so there's what we call new identity. When a person loses a loved one, you may become an orphan. For example, that is a new identity. You were having your father and mother, and when your father and mother passes away, then the title, your name, you are now referred to as an orphan. That is a new identity. It's a new normal, and it normally doesn't change. It doesn't, you will not get those parents again. My husband usually tells me this. He had lost his father so many years ago, and recently he lost his mother. But he keeps saying, like now in the time of festival seasons when people are visiting their friends, visiting their families, he normally tells me I am an orphan. You know, that thing hurts because when you remember that you no longer have a father to send something to on a festival season, you no longer have a mother, you are now a total orphan. So that you did not only lose the person, but even the status, the factors that surround that person you lost. Some people get new names, widow. You did not lose only the husband, but now you lost the family connections, you lost the groupings that you had. If they call the married, sometimes we make family life seminars, and then we group people according to their marital status, the singles, the married, the widows, the senior citizens. And now this person who was attending the married people seminar ends up now attending either the single people seminar or the widows seminar. And very often, such people even don't know where to go. If it is a family life Sabbath or family life weekend, you find such people fear even to come to the meetings. Or when they come, because they were married, they don't want to feel like they are widows. They end up going back to the seminars with the married people. And sometimes others say, now I can't be there. I would rather be in the single group, seminar group. So we have those other kind of losses. My friend lost a husband, and he says one thing that hurt him most, a certain day they wrote him a letter. And when the letter came, it was saying, widower so and so. I said, this was my first time to, it hurt me more than the loss that I had. Now, how can these people be referring me as widower? The truth is, he had lost a wife, but he was not accepting that new identity that he was a widower. So, when we lose our loved ones, we have what we call the primary loss, but we also have the secondary loss. This widower explained that I did not only lose the wife, but I lost the cook. Because when the meal time comes, I don't know how to prepare the food. When the festival season comes, I don't know how to decorate the house. I lost more than the wife because there were more other advantages. I would share the challenges of work with my friend, but now she's no longer there. So she not only lost the wife, she also lost a friend. When we lose a loved one, we lose so much. And so when you see people in pain, and sometimes the different services that the people were doing end up reminding us of the people more and then making us even grieve more. When a person has lost a loved one and sees another unbroken, he may also ends up broken because sometimes these people, when they go to, for example, when you go to a wedding ceremony, and then probably one of the daughter or one of the son is getting married, and the husband who is supposed to be at your side is not there, is already gone. You find that the party that would be full of joy ends up with some kind of sadness because one other person who would be benefiting in the joy is no longer there. So this loss of loved ones is a great thing because it affects us in different many ways. A person who has lost a loved one feels lonely, feels ashamed, feels angry, may fear to attend functions, may fear to go to the family meetings because they used to appear together. And as community, we normally respect people. Oh, so and so has come with me. Mr. So and so and Mrs. So and so are here. And then you provide them seats. And when a person has lost the status, you may find because of loss of a person, the status has gone. So you find the person comes to the function, but even cannot be accorded a seat because it has lost it all. So it affects the people more, those who have lost their loved ones. Embracing this new normal is a challenge. I'm calling it a new normal. Like when COVID came, there are things that came and probably are not going away. So when we lose our loved one after the primary loss, and then you have also the secondary loss, there are some things that we have to embrace. We have to accept that I'm no longer married to so and so. My wife passed away, my husband passed away. If the pastor, or if you are married to a minister, the minister is no longer there. You may not be called in the minister's meetings because you are not, your partner who was a minister is not there. Sometimes you have even to transfer the location that because you are staying in the minister's village and now you're no longer a minister, you have to go your way and stay in your village or whatever other place you are going to get. We need to accept the change. But I'm telling you, it is a painful change because you have the loss of the person, but also the changes that come with it. You have to adjust uh, and then plan the alternatives. If you had a husband and the husband died, and this husband was taking children to school, he was the transport officer, and now you still have the children, you have to plan for the alternatives. Are you going to be the one driving? Are you going to hire to pay for the school bus to keep picking them? Are you going to get another Uber person or special hire to keep taking them to school and back? There should be another plan. I'm taking, and it doesn't come easily. But the earlier we get to know that these things happen, the better. You may be have lost a probably you lost a husband, you lost a wife, and she was the one cooking food at home, and now you are a widower. What are you going to eat? The earlier you start planning for alternative, the better. The first thing is you either have to learn cooking. You may have to go Google. You have to check Google and see some menus and see how to prepare them. If you are failing to prepare the food, then you may have to say, I'm going to buy food. Either you get a certain restaurant where you usually go and get something to eat. Otherwise, you may die of hunger because you did not only lose the wife, but you even lost the cook. You may find the wife was doing your laundry, was helping you to wash the clothes, was helping you to iron the clothes, and now the person passed away. It is challenging. Now you have to bend to do what some of the things that probably we are not doing. And you cannot afford to live in dirty clothes because you lost a wife or because you lost a person who was your husband who was doing it. So you have to adjust and plan. What am I supposed to do? Who is supposed to help me in this? So it is a challenge when you lose a loved ones. A few things happen, and then we even don't know what to do. Like celebrating the anniversaries after the loss of your spouse. You are challenged. We have spent 10 years in marriage, 30 years in marriage, 50 years in marriage. You remember the dates, but you don't have the person to share the joy with. And every time it happens, you are either so much in grief, or you just thank God that, oh, I thank God for the time I had with my spouse. It helps you to understand this, and the better you do it, the better. You may have celebrations for your birthdays or the birthdays of your child, and now the child died, and now you were wondering when the date comes, or you automatically will be remembering the date. But what do I do with the date? You have to remember either to cry, but the best thing is to thank God every time that date comes for the life that you had with that loved one. So it becomes a challenge attending people's weddings, going to graduation ceremonies, and then you see that probably a person, the child of your neighbor, is graduating and your child is no longer there. It is painful to see people playing when you go to the vacation and you see people enjoying as couples and you are no longer having your spouse. All those are challenges that we get when we lose our loved ones. You may not be invited in some of the meetings because you lost a husband, because you lost a wife. The wife was the key person in the society, and now the wife is no longer there. So you may find you wonder, I used to be attending camp meetings. I was being invited to speak here and there, and because it is in the new normal, some people may see you in a different face, and they may not even involve you in many of the activities. You may have been a leader, and you may find that some people want you to be in that leadership position because of the marital status you had. And now, because you lost the spouse, you may not be having those positions. So it is a challenge that when we lose our loved ones, we don't only lose the primary loss, the loss of the person, but we even lose the fame, the status, the friendship, and other things that were related with that other person. So, what should we do? One, like I said, you need to embrace the new normal. In the new identity, of course, it doesn't sound well when you say widow so and so, widower so and so. In my culture, we had a name for the lady who has lost her husband, Namwandu. And they would, immediately you lose a person, you start hearing people saying, Namwandu so and so, Namwandu so and so. And I'm telling you, the thing hurts even the more. Widower so and so, Semwandu. But over time, some people have not, they try to reduce calling it because it stigmatizes in a way. But the truth remains, when you lose a loved one, you are Namwandu, either Samwandu or Namwandu. So the idea is understanding it and how to accept it, to live with it. So when you have this other new identity and you have lost a friend, a transport officer, a mechanic, the person who was helping you financially, what do you have to do? There's, you may have to ask for help. You may have to call for help. You may have to say, now I don't know how to repair my car. What do I do? Either take it to a mechanic or call somebody you know who can, probably I have this problem. What do I do? You may need some guidance, some help. Sometimes we are hesitant to ask for help, especially when we have lost our loved ones. You have lost a husband, a wife, you have lost a child, but you are alone in a different corner and you are isolated. We don't ask for help because we fear. Probably people will not understand us because people will blame us. Sometimes we are ashamed. When you lose loved ones, there's some kind of shame that you feel in your life. And sometimes we are proud. We don't want people to know that we are undergoing those challenges. Sometimes we are ignorant. You want to get the death certificate. You don't know where to get it from, and you don't want to ask. There are people who have lost their loved ones and they have gone through the process. Feel free to ask for guidance. Oh, you feel free to read and get more information. But there are people who can help. Sometimes we are angry with everybody that you even don't want to share your need with others. And that hinders you from getting the support you need. But the truth is, when we lose our loved ones, we may need some help. We may need some support. We may need guidance. We may need wisdom. And it is this time that you need to ask for it. So it is challenging because you get new identity, you get new normal, you stay in the house alone. Sometimes you have to change the location, you have to change the house because the house you were staying in was because your husband had a particular job. And now you have to change, or because you were many in the house, you needed a two-bedroom house, and now you have to go into a one-room house. All those are issues that come when we lose our loved ones. But what should we do? You have to embrace the new normal. You have to accept the change and then see how you can live in the new kind of life you have after the loss. I want to use the scripture that we find in the book of Exodus, chapter 17, verse 12. uh, Moses was at war and he was always told to have his arms up. But at one time he was getting tired. And verse 12 says, when Moses' arms grew tired, Aaron and Hur brought a stone for him to sit on, while they stood beside him and held up his arms, holding them up steady until the sun went down. So Moses was always supposed to have his hands up in order for them to win the war. But somehow, for one reason, his hands were getting tired. And there were people who had to come in to help him. One, get him where to sit on a stone, and two, to hold up his hands in order to support his hands to be up until the sun was down. And that is what his friends used to do. And I'm telling you, when we lose our loved ones, you may need a person to support you, to support your hands when your hands are getting tired, when you are getting you are losing because of the grief you have, the loss of a loved one, loss of a child, loss of a wife, loss of a husband, loss of a friend, loss of a parent, mother, father. You may have to call for support. You are still a child, but you want to know, what do I do at this stage? You may have to call the uncle, the friend of your father, or somebody you knew that could be of help, and then you get some assistance. So, this primary and secondary loss is another issue that we have when we are grieving. And we need to understand that we don't only lose the person, but we lose the factor, the status, the fame, the relationship, the friendship, and all that may determine how we grieve. The pain we go through may be intense depending on the status that we have lost and the person that we have lost. I pray that the Lord helps us to accept the new normal and live with the new identity. And then when time comes, you may change the identity. You may have married, the person died, you are a widow or a widow, but you may end up marrying again and then go back to your married status. Or you can stay in the single status for life. All those factors can be there, but you have to embrace and accept them. As I always say, seek for support from people, but also always God is at your side. May the Lord help us as we see how to live without our loved ones.